All right, let's talk about adding more characters into our scene because it's about time. Even before we start moving things around, I think it'd be sort of fun to get a few characters in here just so that we can push them. But and there's a bit more we need to do inside of this create with dictionary statement to account for other characters. First thing I'm going to do is, and I probably should have done this a while back, is put in here self.zPosition equals 100. And that's going to be 100 levels above the background. And you might be wondering, why not put that in the property list file? And I could, but then I think that's going to be too tempting for people to or they might accidentally put in a Z position for different characters, one on top of the other. And the code that I'm going to put in, that we're going to write in here later, is going to actually handle repositioning the Z value based on who the leader is. So it's important that all of them come in at the same level, and then they're going to be incrementally lower or higher based on who's in the lead. And if you put in your own Z position values that were way off from what I decided, then that setup is not going to work as well. So let's also put in here self.name, and this is going to equal character. And again, you might think, why not put that into the property list? And again, it's because I don't want people changing this on their own, because kind of the secret formula here is that we are going to enumerate, or we're going to cycle through every character on stage, and I'm not actually going to search by class. I'm going to search by this particular name right here. Okay, so if you put in something different other than character, then kind of the game engine is not going to work as well. And another important thing here is that every character is going to have that same name. So I'm not ever putting in a different name value for, say, character 1, character 2, the leader, whatever it is. And again, remember, the leader kind of floats around too in this. All right, let's then come down here and write self.position is going to equal CG point from string. You might wonder, why is that going to be from a string? And it's because this is going to be something that we put into our property list file, and I'm going to put in there character data, and this will be object for key, and that key name is going to be start location, and let's go ahead and put that into our sorry. All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and put that into our game data plist, and this can be right over here at the top. It's one of the more important things, isn't it? Start location. And again, I'm setting that to string. This first one we'll put in at 0, 0. And now let's go ahead and copy this entire item. We'll paste it. Ultimately, we'll end up deleting this later because, the more things we add inside of here, the less it makes sense to kind of replicate this second item. We might as well just copy and paste it, right? So let's make this other one be negative 100. We'll leave it at 0, but negative 100 will put it a little bit to the left, and but it should still be within the visible screen space. And while we're here, let's just go ahead and change this. I never showed you that this actually worked, but it did. You can set the collision body type to being half or whatever percentage you want. All right, so now back over into our character class. This should be working fine. And actually, come to think of it, I think we are. Yeah, we could go back to the level class now. Although while I'm here, one thing you might want to consider. I'm going to go ahead and copy in this this code. If you wanted to shrink up your character based on the device that you're using, so in this case it says if user interface idiom equals phone, then you can do that right here, and you can put self.xscale, self.yscale equals 0.75 or whatever it is. I kind of like the sizing as it is, and I've been testing back and forth with my iPhone and iPad, so I'm going to exclude that, but just know that is an option, and I guess makes a little bit more sense to if we're not going to use it, to not make the code compiler run it at all. So there's some big old block quotes or comments out there for you. All right, so now let's go and head back over here to our level class, and we are going to set up a method called create another character. And let's first figure out where inside of this class we're going to do that. Outside of somewhere up here, setup scene, right? And you know, this would be another good one to put in here. Pragma mark setup scene, and we already have in here setup characters. I'm gonna transplant this above our contact listener. Kind of keep all of our setup stuff together. All right. So let's write in here void create another character. And it's about time that we start keeping track of how many characters we have in the world. And we don't really use this for much else other than the initial setup. So we're going to say characters in world. And in fact, even when we start testing to see if the game is over, I don't use this for that. We're going to use it right now. All right, so go and declare this up in your old fancy interface. This could be an unsigned car. And I'm assuming you're not going to have more than 255 characters, 0 to 255. And then obviously, but by default, this is going to be 0. But you know, if you wanted to kind of make sure about that, you can always put in there characters in world equals 0. And now, when we have when we've created our first one, oh, actually, come to think of it, no. We don't have to do that. I was going to say we should add 1, but if we do that at the top of our method, that'll happen right away. So that equals characters in world plus 1. That's a little shorthand for that. So at this point, it would equal 1, and then we can go ahead and proceed with creating a secondary character. We'll just write CS character equals CS character. We just write node like we did before, and then character, create with dictionary, and here's where we use our character array again. Array. The object at index is going to be now characters in world. So the first time this would run, that will now equal 1 instead of what we had it at before, which was 0. If you've forgotten that, it's right there. In fact, I could just be copying that. And then we're going to put down here, there is a line I could definitely copy. My world, add child, although actually in this case we're calling him character. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put in character.zPosition equals character.zPosition minus characters in world. Okay, so think about that for a moment. Right here is where we establish the Z position over here in the character class, which is 100. So then that occurs, this gets added to the world, and then we just do a little bit of adjustment here where we say that the Z position is now going to be itself minus whatever this number is. So the first time that runs, that'll be 1, and then the second time that runs, that'll be 2. So ultimately this one was the first time around would be 99, the second one would be 98, and so on like that. And now, I was about to say, are we ready to test this? We're not, because the next thing that we need to do is put in a quick little while statement to test how many of those other characters that we have. Do this, just write in here int c, I'm just using a short little variable here, equals 1. I'm going to write in here while c is less than the character array count, and that is a method that we use to test how many items are inside of a particular array. Now, of course, our characters array only has 2 items here, right? So then we step back over here. So while C is less than 2, and so basically while 1 is less than 2, we are going to do whatever is inside of here. And one of the first things I'm going to write is that we want to increment C up 1, okay, so that we don't get stuck in some sort of while loop where we keep adding characters. So the next time this runs, this is not going to be a true statement, because this is not while C is less than or equal to. Okay, it's not that. It's just while C is less than that amount. So that is only going to run once in this particular case. And what I'm going to do is write self perform selector at, and then I write in here selector create another character with object. I don't need to pass in a parameter here, so I'm not going to put in anything other than nil. And then after delay. And this is kind of one of those things that is completely optional. All right, if you want to just if you don't want to put in a delay, don't feel like you necessarily have to. I'm going to do it though. So I'm going to say, let's make it a little bit more clear, 0.5 times C, and C right now just equals 1. But what this will do is delay putting in those other characters. Not by much, but just by a little bit. And I think that would be a little bit more important if you kind of had characters piling in on top of each other. So it would be kind of a one little bit of a moment where the leader gets established, and then you kind of see these other guys will pop into place, right? And in doing so, they might, if they were all on top of each other, they might kind of push one another aside. And I think just that delay would look good. But again, you don't have to do it. Now, though, I think we are ready to test this out. So let's give it a shot. Oops. I have to just put save. I don't know why I ever save my Xcode project. It always is saving constantly, so don't feel like you actually have to do that. All right, so there we go. We're now seeing both of them once and for all. I'm going to go find that nslog statement, and whichever one, there it is, and get rid of it. All right, back over to this. That's a great sign, and obviously you see that we've got a square that has been minimized for this particular character. Let's go and reset that, though. I don't think he needs a, there it is, circle. And just for fun, let's go ahead and put in a couple more of these, right? This one we'll do it negative 200, and maybe this third one over here we'll put it 100. Okay, so they're all going to have the same y-axis, and we've got 4 of them in there, so hopefully we're going to see 4 characters now. And boom, 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 boom. There they are. Okay, we're in good shape.